Hi class, this is JilMac. I'm the instructor for the Community College of Vermont, and we are going over Chapter 11 in web development. Now, the easiest way to understand how to read a manual, because it's not like a textbook, okay? It's not like the normal types of, books where we've been taught how to read, paragraphs and be able to read it and kind of get an understanding. When you're doing things with code, when you're doing things that aren't just kind of paragraph stuff, you really need to be able to look at it and touch it at the same time that you are writing it or reading about it. So I highly recommend that when you're reading the chapters in the book, that you're also going along with the textbook online. And so you can click this link here. When I explained Chapter 10, I went and said you should add this link to your resources page on your Google site. And so, here I've added this so that you can easily get to it, that you don't have to go to JilMac.com and, go through all of that. Just go to your own website and click it. So we're going to go to our textbook from there. So here we are in our textbook, and we're going to look at Chapter 11. I also have Chapter 11 open, and I'm going to kind of go through it so that you can see here is the finished page that we're looking at. Here on Chapter 11, we have the before, where if you click it, this is what it looks like with no styles. This is just the data. This is just the HTML. When we look at this, when we go to view the page source by right-clicking, let me make this a little bit bigger. We look here, we have no CSS. There's no CSS up in the body. We're using a banner, but we're not using any CSS here in the header. And there's no CSS in this at all. And, if it's late at night and you're trying to find a CSS file, you can also go over here to the find and look for, we're looking for .css. And it's telling us we have no CSS files in here. So this is what our web page looks like with absolutely no website, with absolutely no style sheet. So that's the no styles. So let's go back. And now when we're, oops, I've got it big again. Let me make this smaller for this page. So now when we're looking on Chapter 11, so this is what it looks like with no styles. Here is the after. When we get done with all of this, this is what our page is going to look like. This is the finished page. So when we look at this, this is the finished page. I'll make it a little bit bigger here, and we can scroll down and see what that finished page looks like. Now, mine is at 125%, so let's make that 100%. So this is what the page looks like at 100%. In the last video, I showed you that when we right-click it and go to inspect it, if we want to see how this web page looks on different kinds of appliances, Google has built into their developer tools where we can come up and we can say, okay, what does it look like on an iPad? That's what it looks like on an iPad. What does it look like on an iPad mini? Looks pretty much the same. What does it look like on an iPhone 4? This is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to look like on an iPhone 6. And if you click down, this is what it's going to look like on a Google Nexus 7. So you can see it. If we wanted to, blow it up a little bit, we can see what it looks like when the user blows it up on their iPhone 6. And this is what it looks like to us with a regular screen. And if we just close out of this down here, if we close out of this developer tool, that is what it looks like. So as we're kind of looking at design and we're thinking about, is this adaptive, we can scroll it here, but we can also use the Google tools once again by right-clicking, going to inspect. This is going to be inspecting this web page and how it looks. And this web page we know has CSS because when we come over and we look at our code in the head, we see that we have this CSS right here. And when we click on it, we have the CSS over on this side. We If we want to look at it, just the CSS, we can look at it here. I'll bring it up so you can see it a little bit better. And this is our CSS. Oops, sorry, this is our HTML. We click on CSS and open that. This is our CSS. We can also, make this larger so we can kind of look at this CSS here. And if we wanted to make a change to it, we could, like the body, we might want to say that the body has a background. And notice it pulls up the word for us so we don't spell it incorrectly. And suppose I want it to be green. Now, let me make this smaller. You can see that I've changed that to the background green. So you can block copy this. Let me put my little semicolon in. You can copy this and put it into your real code. But it's kind of another way of looking at it. For those that are ready to do an editor or to look at ways to edit code a little bit more advanced, it's there for you. Those that aren't ready for it, that's fine. You can stick with your Notepad or Sublime Text or whatever you're using. But it's kind of a fun way to look at web pages differently than you had before. Okay. And so I'll just reload this with an F5, and it goes back to the way it originally was.